Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another descent into the enigma of the unknown. Tonight, we tune into a frequency that shouldn't exist. A story of whispers from the stars, madness in the desert, and lights that descend when the signal calls. This is the Whisper from the Void, UFO signals that drove a town mad. Inspired by real astronomical anomalies like the famous WOW signal and unexplained broadcasts that have baffled scientists for decades. Imagine a place where the night sky isn't silent. It's speaking. And it's speaking to you. Settle in, turn down the lights, and listen closely. But be warned, once you hear the whisper, it may never leave you. Our tale unfolds in the dusty town of Dusthaven, Nevada, in the scorching summer of 2021. Nestled in the heart of the Mojave Desert, Dusthaven was a relic of the atomic age, a forgotten outpost with a population of barely 500 souls, sustained by a single radio station, a rundown diner, and the occasional tourist chasing ghost stories from the old nuclear test sites. The air was always dry, the sun unrelenting, and the night so clear you could see the Milky Way like a river of diamonds. But beneath that beauty lurked something ancient and hungry, waiting for the right moment to awaken. The town had its quirks. Old-timers spoke of the desert devils, strange lights that danced on the horizon during full moons, attributed to mirages or leftover radiation from the bomb tests of the 1950s. Young folks laughed it off, but everyone knew the rules. Don't wander too far after dark, and if you hear static on the radio, turn it off. Dusthaven's isolation was both a blessing and a curse. Far from cities, it was a place where secrets could hide in plain sight. It all started with Jack Harlan, the 45-year-old host of Dusthaven's only radio show, Desert Echoes. Jack was the voice of the town, a gruff, no-nonsense guy who had spent his life debunking tall tales. He was born and raised in Dusthaven, the son of a miner who died in a cave-in when Jack was 10. That loss made him a skeptic. He believed in what he could see, touch, and explain. His broadcasts were a comforting ritual for the locals. Updates on dust storms blocking the highway, scores from the high school baseball team, and classic rock tunes from the 70s to fill the empty hours. Jack's studio was a cramped room in an old trailer on the edge of town, surrounded by rusted antennas that reached for the stars like skeletal fingers. He lived alone, his only company a stray cat named Echo that wandered in and out as she pleased. On July 3rd, the night before Independence Day, Jack was wrapping up his late-night segment. The clock read 11:45 p.m., and he was playing Hotel California by the Eagles, a staple for his listeners who tuned in to escape the desert loneliness. As the song's haunting guitar solo faded, Jack leaned into the microphone, his voice warm and familiar. "All right, Dusthaven, that's it for tonight. Remember to stay hydrated out there. It's gonna be a scorcher tomorrow. This is Jack Harlan, signing off. Good night, and keep looking up at those stars." But as he flipped the switch to end the broadcast, his equipment glitched. Static erupted from the speakers, sharp and piercing, like nails on a chalkboard. Jack frowned, checking the cables and dials. "What the hell?" he muttered under his breath, his fingers flying over the console. The static didn't fade. Instead, it modulated, shifting into a low, oscillating tone, like a distant whale song, mixed with the feedback of an overdriven amplifier. It wasn't random noise. It had rhythm, a pattern that repeated every few seconds, growing in intensity. Jack's heart skipped a beat. He tried to cut the feed, slamming buttons and pulling plugs, but the tone persisted, emanating from the speakers, as if the signal was coming from inside the trailer itself. He grabbed his headphones, pressing them to his ears, listening closer. The tone formed what sounded like words, faint and distorted, like a voice struggling through water. Echo. Void. Listen. The phrase looped, embedding itself in his mind like an earworm he couldn't shake. It felt personal, invasive, as if the signal was speaking directly to him. Sweat beaded on his forehead, despite the cool desert night. Jack was a skeptic, but this felt different, alive, intelligent. He glanced out the window at the dark expanse of sand and scrub brush, the stars twinkling innocently above. "This is crazy," he whispered to himself, trying to laugh it off. But the tone grew louder, vibrating through the trailer, making the cat echo, hiss, and bolt under the desk. Listeners started calling in, their voices frantic over the open line that Jack hadn't even activated. The phone lines lit up like Christmas lights. "Jack, what is that sound? It's coming from my car radio too, and I'm not even tuned to your station," said one woman, her tone edged with panic. "Make it stop. It's in my head now, repeating." Another caller, an old miner named Gus, added with a tremor in his voice, "I've heard something like this before, back in the 70s during the bomb tests. It drove my buddy crazy. He started drawing stars on the walls, saying they were calling him home. Jack, turn it off before it's too late." Jack's hands shook as he tried to respond. "Folks, I don't know what this is, but it's not coming from my end. Stay calm, I'm shutting down the broadcast." He yanked the main power cord from the wall, plunging the studio into darkness. The static stopped abruptly, leaving only the hum of the desert wind outside. But in his mind, the whisper lingered, faint but insistent. "Listen." By morning, Dusthaven was abuzz with talk. The signal hadn't stopped with Jack's broadcast. It had spread like a virus. People reported hearing it on their home radios, car stereos, even old televisions tuned to static channels. Some said it played even when devices were unplugged, like a ghost in the machine. Headaches plagued the town, sharp, throbbing pains that came with vivid dreams of vast emptiness and eyes watching from the stars. At the local diner, Jack sat nursing a cup of black coffee, his eyes red from lack of sleep. The regulars gathered around him, their faces a mix of fear and curiosity. "It felt like it was digging into my brain," said Mary, the waitress, rubbing her temples. "I dreamed of my late husband last night. He was whispering things I never told anyone." Jack nodded, his own night filled with fragmented visions of endless black space, dotted with pulsing lights that seemed to call his name. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Jack drove to the old observatory on the town's outskirts, a relic from the 1950s when Dusthaven was a listening post for government experiments during the Cold War. The building was dilapidated, its dome cracked and covered in sand. As he approached, his truck's radio sprang to life unbidden, the whisper louder now. "Approach, receive, the void awaits." Jack killed the engine and stepped out, the gravel crunching under his boots. The desert sun beat down mercilessly, the air shimmering with heat like a mirage. He climbed the ladder to the observatory's roof, his hands slick with sweat, and found nothing unusual. No loose wires, no signs of tampering. But as he descended, he noticed something etched into the metal base of one antenna. A series of symbols, like binary code mixed with ancient runes. Freshly carved, as if by an invisible hand, They matched the patterns in his dreams. Back in town, the anomalies escalated. Clara, the elderly veteran who had called in the night before, was found wandering the streets, muttering incoherently. "The voices, they know my secrets," she babbled, her eyes wide and unfocused. She drew the same symbols on the sidewalk with chalk, repeating the whisper's phrase. Echo, void, listen. When Jack visited her at the local clinic, Dr. Reyes pulled him aside. "It's like her brain is rewiring itself. She's not the only one." 3 more cases today, all reporting the same thing. Dreams of lights in the sky, whispering truths they didn't want to hear. "Jack, this isn't normal. It's like the signal is alive." Jack felt a chill despite the desert heat. That night, the whispers returned stronger. During his broadcast, he addressed the town directly. "Folks, whatever this is, it's not natural. I've traced it to the old observatory, but I need help. If you've heard it, call in. Tell me what it's saying to you." The lines lit up like never before. A young mother described how her child started speaking in tongues after the signal played on their kitchen radio. "He said things about my past, things only I know," she sobbed. An ex-military man confessed to similar experiments in the 70s. They called it Project Void, testing signals to contact extraterrestrial intelligence. But it went wrong. The signals started contacting us back. People lost their minds, seeing visions of other worlds. They shut it down, but maybe it's waking up. As the calls poured in, the signal interrupted again, this time clearer and more insistent. "We see you. Join the chorus. Reveal your truths." The tone shifted, incorporating snippets of the callers' voices, twisted and echoed back at them. The mother heard her child's laughter, warped into something sinister. The veteran heard commands from his old superiors, ordering him to listen and obey. Panic gripped Dusthaven. Residents reported orbs in the sky, silent, glowing spheres that hovered over homes, pulsing in sync with the whispers. Jack's neighbor, Tom the mechanic, called in excitedly during the chaos. "Jack, I see them now, lights above my roof. They're beautiful. They're calling me. I have to go see." His line went dead mid-sentence. Tom was never heard from again. His truck was found the next morning in the desert. Engine running, doors open, radio still tuned to the frequency. Inside, symbols were scratched into the dashboard, and a note in Tom's handwriting: "I listened. I saw. The void is home." Jack's skepticism shattered like glass. That night, he experienced his first blackout. He woke in the middle of the desert, clothes covered in sand, with no memory of how he got there. The sun was rising, casting long shadows over the dunes. In his pocket, a crumpled paper with symbols he didn't remember drawing. The whispers were in his head now, constant, revealing fragments of forgotten memories, childhood traumas like the day his father died, regrets from failed relationships, secrets he had buried deep in his psyche. "You cannot hide," the voice said. "We know you." Desperate, Jack rallied a small group: Dr. Reyes, a few brave locals including Gus the miner and Mary the waitress, to investigate the bunker near the observatory. They met at dusk, armed with flashlights, crowbars, and a sense of dread. The desert wind howled as they approached the hidden entrance, buried under sand. As they dug, the whispers guided them. "Enter. See." Breaking in, they descended into a labyrinth of concrete corridors, lit by flickering emergency lights that shouldn't have been on. The air was stale, filled with the scent of rust and ozone. They found ancient equipment humming to life: oscilloscopes, tape recorders, and a massive antenna array connected to a device labeled Project Void 1977. Files scattered on tables revealed it was an experiment to contact extraterrestrial intelligence using high-frequency signals, but it had opened something else, a void that fed on human minds, using broadcasts to lure and consume thoughts. Dr. Reyes flicked through the documents, her face pale. "Look at this. Test subjects reported visions, personality changes, even time loss. They shut it down after subjects started disappearing." Gus nodded, his voice trembling. "My buddy was one of them. He came back different, said the void showed him the end of the world." As they explored deeper, the whispers became screams. "You cannot silence us! We are the chorus!" The group panicked as orbs materialized in the bunker, floating through walls, their light casting long shadows. Visions assaulted them. Mary saw her deceased parents. Gus relived war traumas. Dr. Reyes saw future disasters. Jack, at the center, saw the truth. The signal was a beacon from a dimension beyond, where entities of pure energy fed on human consciousness, using Earth's experiments as doorways. "It's not aliens," he gasped. "It's something worse, hungry for our minds." In a final act of defiance, Jack smashed the main console, sparks flying as the equipment shorted out. The orbs flickered and vanished, the whispers fading to silence. The group escaped as the bunker trembled, collapsing behind them. Dusthaven was evacuated the next day by federal agents in black SUVs, who blamed electromagnetic interference from solar flares. The town was quarantined, its residents scattered to nearby cities with gag orders and relocation assistance. Official reports dismissed the events as mass hysteria, but those who escaped still hear the whispers on quiet nights, faint, insistent, calling them back to the desert. Jack was never found. Some say he joined the chorus, his voice now part of the signal. Others claim to see his face in the static of old televisions, whispering warnings to those who listened too closely. What was the whisper from the void? An alien intelligence probing our world? A government psyop gone horribly wrong? Or something ancient, awakening in the desert sands, hungry for minds to consume? The signals continue, faint but persistent, in remote places around the globe. Reports of similar broadcasts have surfaced in Alaska, Australia, and even urban areas where people tune in and never tune out. If you hear a strange tone on your radio late at night, remember Jack's words: don't listen. For once you do, the void listens back. Thank you for tuning in to this tale of cosmic dread. If the whispers have left you uneasy, like, subscribe, and share your own strange experiences below. Have you ever heard a signal that felt alive? Tell us in the comments. Until next time, be careful what you tune into. The night sky is listening.